What's up, guys? Good Tuesday morning. It's Mason Spastic, your host, here with you. It's about 1 a.m. again. You may ask me, why do I always do these late night videos? It's because it's easy. Everyone's in bed, and this is like my time I could get away down here and film my videos in peace and quiet, which we all love. So without further ado, let's get into the topic of today's show, and that is predicting the Division 1 baseball bracket. Right here, I got the baseball bracket done. And I'm going to give you guys a little update first off on my softball bracket, which is right here. On the teams that, so the way softball and baseball do it is it's double elimination, and the team who does not lose 2 games in each regional advances to super regionals. For softball, I got correct 11 out of 16 of the super regional teams. However, out of the 8 teams that advanced to the Women's College World Series, I only guessed 3 of those teams correct, and those 3 teams were Texas, Duke, and Oklahoma. So the matchups for super regionals in softball for the girls are Stanford and Texas, Oklahoma State and Florida, Alabama and UCLA, Duke and Oklahoma. I predicted Texas and LSU, Arkansas and Baylor, Clemson and Georgia, and Duke and Oklahoma. My ultimate pick was Oklahoma getting the 4P. Time will tell if that happens. Anyway, put that aside. Without further ado, let's get into this bad boy, the college baseball bracket. Let's discuss. We're going to start off in the left-hand region with Tennessee and Northern Kentucky. I'm easily picking Tennessee to win that game. That gives Northern Kentucky their first loss. Indiana against Southern Miss. I like Southern Miss in this one. Give me Southern Miss. Southern Miss against Tennessee, I like Southern Miss. Indiana against Northern Kentucky, I obviously like Indiana. Indiana against Southern Miss, I like Southern Miss for sure. Southern Miss against Tennessee, I think they give Tennessee 1 loss, but I think Tennessee gets back at them, and Tennessee is your regional champion and moves on to super regionals. I think this is kind of a cool format for sure. Definitely enjoyed getting into college baseball this year. East Carolina against Evansville. I think this is definitely interesting. I think Evansville gives them a run for the money here. And actually, I believe that Evansville will pull off the upset in Game 1 of East Carolina. So give me Evansville with an upset there. VCU and Wake Forest. Definitely Wake Forest, 100%. Like the way they play, an ACC team, and they're very good. So give me Wake Forest. VCU against East Carolina. Obviously, East Carolina beats VCU. Wake Forest against Evansville. Wake Forest wins easily. Wake Forest against East Carolina. I think East Carolina wins Game 1, but Wake wins Evansville against East Carolina. I think East Carolina gets the last laugh the second time. East Carolina against Wake Forest now. I think Wake Forest gets the best of them there, and they will advance to the next round. Sorry, I lost track there of everything, but that's my bad. But anyway, I expect Wake Forest to come out of this region. Oklahoma and Oral Roberts. Oklahoma will win that easily, I think. UConn against Duke. I like Duke. UConn against Oral Roberts. I like UConn. Duke against Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma. UConn against Duke. I like UConn winning this time. UConn against Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma. And Oklahoma will move on without 1 single loss to super regionals. Their baseball and softball teams are dominant. They just are. I don't know why or how. But they're going to get it for real next year when they go to the SEC, so that'll definitely be good for sure. Florida State against Stetson. That's easy. I like Florida State, despite the fact that Pitt swept them. That was cool. So, yeah. And Pitt beat Penn State, too. Mercy ruled them, actually, and Penn State almost won the Big Ten tournament, so that's definitely good for Pitt. But Pitt did not do very good in the ACC tournament. We lost to Wake Forest, and we lost to UNC, so that's not good. UCF against Bama. Obviously, I like Bama. UCF was one of the last teams in. Got to go Bama. Stetson against UCF. I'm going to actually pick the upset here. I got to pick the 4 seed for once. Give me Stetson eliminating UCF early. Alabama and Florida State. I like Alabama giving Florida State the upset here. So, give me Alabama. Stetson and Florida State. Obviously, Florida State will eliminate Stetson. Florida State and Alabama. I think Florida State will take one from them before Alabama gets the last laugh the second time and eliminates Florida State. Arkansas against Southern Missouri State. Obviously, Arkansas. Kansas State against Louisiana Tech. I like Louisiana Tech here. Southeast Missouri State against Kansas State. I like Kansas State for sure. Arkansas against Louisiana Tech. I'm going to pick the upset here. I'm going to pick Louisiana Tech in this one. Kansas State against Arkansas. Arkansas. Louisiana Tech against Arkansas. I think Arkansas comes back, gets their revenge, and takes these next two, and they will move on to Super Regionals. Virginia against Penn. I like Virginia for sure in this one. It's a tough regional for Virginia, but I'm definitely picking them here. St. John's of New York against Mississippi State. That's easy. I think Mississippi State will win. Penn against St. John's. I like St. John's. Mississippi State against Virginia. I like Mississippi State. St. John's, New York against Virginia. I like Virginia. Mississippi State against Virginia. I like Mississippi State winning one, or Virginia winning one, but Mississippi State winning the other. That will eliminate them. Now we get Arkansas and Mississippi State as Mississippi State wins that regional. Here we go down the line. We got Arizona against Grand Canyon. I like Arizona for sure here. West Virginia against Dallas Baptist. I'm going to have to pick West Virginia in this one. I know I hate to do it, but they just looked too dominant against Pitt a couple weeks ago. I think they play really good baseball. I'm going West Virginia. Grand Canyon against Dallas Baptist. That's easy. I'm picking Dallas Baptist. West Virginia against Arizona. I'm going the soccer here. I'm going West Virginia with this one. I think they weather the storm. So West Virginia has no stains right now. Dallas Baptist against Arizona. I like Dallas Baptist winning this one, actually knocking off Arizona. West Virginia against Dallas Baptist. I think West Virginia will lose the first time before winning the second time. I like the West Virginia Mountaineers to come out of this region being the first free seed that I project to advance on. So that's a good job by West Virginia. I think they're going to come out of this region and go to Super Regionals. I do. North Carolina against LIU. I like North Carolina easily. Wofford against LSU. I am actually going to pick the upset here. I'm going to pick Wofford game one. Wofford against Carolina. I like Carolina, obviously. LIU against LSU. Obviously LSU. Wofford against LSU. I like LSU. LSU against Carolina. I think LSU takes the first one, but Carolina takes the second one. They will be moving on to Super Regionals. All right, so the whole left-hand side of the bracket is now complete for us. We got Tennessee and Wake Forest, Oklahoma and Alabama, Arkansas and Mississippi State, West Virginia and North Carolina. Moving on to the right-hand side, where we got Kentucky against Western Michigan. That's easy. I like Kentucky. Illinois against Indiana State. I like Indiana State. Illinois against Western Michigan. I'm going Illinois. Indiana State against Kentucky. I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going to go Indiana State for once. Kentucky against Illinois. I like Kentucky. Kentucky against Indiana State. I think Kentucky comes back strong, beats the Sycamores twice, and advances to Super Regionals. But don't count out Indiana State. They can be a team that makes a deep run, as I put that highlight our way from the softball bracket. They can be a team that makes a deep run in this tournament. So don't count out the Sycamores. But Kentucky, I have advancing. Oregon State against Tulane, obviously Oregon State. Nichols against UC Irvine. I'm going UC Irvine. I just love that record and everything. So yeah. Tulane against Nichols. I'm going Tulane here. I think they get the job done. Pull off the upset there. So Tulane stays alive. Nichols goes home. UC Irvine and Oregon State. I think an upset's brewing here. I'm going to go UC Irvine. Tulane against Oregon State. I like Oregon State. UC Irvine against Oregon State. I think UC Irvine leaves this region with no losses. They will move on to Super Regionals. NC State against Bryant. I think NC State wins. James Madison against South Carolina. South Carolina, I think, wins. Bryant against James Madison, obviously James Madison. NC State against South Carolina, I think that NC State wins, but it's close. James Madison, South Carolina, I like James Madison in a soccer eliminating South Carolina. James Madison against NC State, I think NC State beats James Madison. Or James Madison beats them the first time, but does not the second time. NC State moves on. However, I might be so wrong about South Carolina. If they can beat NC State that first time, they are well on their way, I feel like, to the Super Regionals. They might be a better team than NC State, but I think NC State being at home gets the job done. Georgia against Army of West Point, I like Georgia. Georgia Tech against UNC Wilmington, I like UNC Wilmington. Georgia Tech was like the last team in, so I'm going UNC Wilmington. Army of West Point against Georgia Tech, I like Georgia Tech. UNC Wilmington against Georgia, I'm going with Georgia. UNC Wilmington against Georgia Tech, I'm going Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech against Georgia, I have Georgia losing game 1, but I have Georgia winning game 2. They will be moving on to Super Regionals. I hope they go far this year. I do. Clemson and High Point, obviously Clemson. Clemson's a great baseball program, and I hope they actually go pretty far this year, so I'm picking Clemson here. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers against Vanderbilt, I'm going Vanderbilt. High Point against Coastal Carolina, I'm going Coastal. Clemson against Vanderbilt, I'm going Clemson. Coastal against Vanderbilt, I'm going Coastal. Coastal against Clemson. Coastal takes game 1. Clemson takes game 2. They are super regional bound. Oklahoma State, OK State against Niagara. OK State's going to win. Florida against Nebraska. I think Florida's a better brand. They're SEC, obviously. I think they get the job done. Niagara against Nebraska. I like Nebraska. Florida against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State. Florida against Nebraska. I think Florida wins. Florida against Oklahoma State. Florida takes the first game, but not the second game. Oklahoma State is bound for Super Regionals. UC Santa Barbara against Fresno State. I like UC Santa Barbara by a mile here. Oregon against San Diego. I like Oregon winning this one. Fresno State against San Diego. I like San Diego. Oregon against UC Santa Barbara. I like Santa Barbara. Oregon against San Diego. I like San Diego. UC Santa Barbara against San Diego. I actually like San Diego winning the first game. This second game is going to be a killer, but I'm going to pick San Diego to come out of this region. I've picked a lot of wood seeds here so far. Why not try something different? I'm picking San Diego to come out of this region. And we already know I'm not going to get all these right, so why not pick something interesting? San Diego. A&M and Grambling. Finals one on the right-hand side. A&M and Grambling. I like A&M. Texas and Louisiana. I like Texas here. Grambling against Louisiana. I like Louisiana. Texas against Texas A&M. I like A&M. Ingervens. Texas against Louisiana. I like Louisiana. Eliminating Texas coming back around. Louisiana against A&M. I like Louisiana the first game, but not the second game. A&M gets it together. A&M gets the win. Those Texas A&M softball games were really interesting and fun. You know, those two battled out so hard. They were conference rivals. They're going to become conference rivals again starting next year. I'm so hyped to see that rivalry renewed, especially in football. That's going to be amazing. Texas A&M again the last week of the year, just as it should be. So that's definitely good. Texas should be I really like Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. I think that's going to be great. So really like that. Tennessee against Wake Forest. I like Game 1, I think, is going to go to Tennessee for sure. Game 2, I also like going to Tennessee. I think they're easily going to advance to the Men's College World Series. Oklahoma against Alabama. This is one I see going for 3 games. Oklahoma Game 1, Bama Game 2. But in the end, I think that Alabama's willpower and strength is going to be just enough. They will be in the College World Series. Give me Alabama. Arkansas and Mississippi State. I like Arkansas winning Game 1, Mississippi State winning Game 2, and then Arkansas getting the job done in Game 3. Arkansas, I think they're going to advance to the Men's College World Series. West Virginia and Carolina. I think West Virginia is a very good baseball club, but I think North Carolina easily comes in and takes 2 games from West Virginia. I think West Virginia will give them a fight in both those games. They could be very even teams, but I think North Carolina has a great baseball team here, and I feel like what they're doing right now is very special, to say the least. So that's what I got. Kentucky and Irvine. I think Kentucky takes 2 easily. I think this isn't a very easy series for Kentucky, and I feel like they will be in the Men's College World Series. NC State and Georgia. I think this one goes the distance. I see NC State winning the first game, Georgia winning the second game, and I think Georgia, they just have a lot of heart right now. I think that's a great school, great team. I think they win the second game. They're going to the College World Series, which is already dominated by the SEC except for North Carolina. Clemson and Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State wins game 1, Clemson wins game 2, and then in the end, Oklahoma State gets the job done. The Big 12 will be represented in the College World Series this year. San Diego and Texas A&M. I'm not going to put us with another SEC team. I just don't think A&M gets the job done. I think they win the first game, but I think San Diego wins the next 2 games and advances to the Men's College World Series. So that'll be fun. Without further ado, your top teams are Tennessee, Bama, Arkansas, Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia, Oklahoma State, San Diego. So Tennessee, Bama, I think Alabama wins the first game, but Tennessee wins the next 2. They will be in your Final Four, for sure. I like Tennessee. I think that's how it works. Like these 2 on the left-hand side me, and then the left and the right hand meet. So I think it's double elimination, same way till there. Arkansas and North Carolina. I think North Carolina wins game 1, Arkansas wins game 2, and North Carolina comes away with game 3. I really like the North Carolina Tar Heels. I think they will be one of the last 4 teams standing here. Give me North Carolina. Kentucky and Georgia. I think Kentucky wins game 1, Georgia game 2, Kentucky game 3. I really like what Kentucky's done. I think they will be one of the last teams standing in the end. Oklahoma State and San Diego. I think the Cowboys easily take 2 games. Give me Oklahoma State. So now we are down to 4. Tennessee, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Oklahoma State. Tennessee, I think they win easily these 2 games against Carolina. I think Carolina gives them a fight each game, but I think Tennessee gets the job done to advance to the national championship round. Kentucky and Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State wins game 1, Kentucky wins game 2, but Oklahoma State gets the best in game 3. That sets up Tennessee and Oklahoma State in the national championship game. Best of 3. So with all the 1 seeds and all their dominance recently in college and pro sports, it's hard not to pick Tennessee. However, I think Oklahoma State will get off to a strong start, winning game 1. Tennessee will turn around and win game 2, beating the Cowboys. But in the end, I like the Tennessee Volunteers to finish the job and defeat the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And that, ladies and gentlemen, seals the deal. The Tennessee Volunteers are my pick to win the College World Series. So here is my final bracket. There you go. There it is. So there's my final bracket predictions here for the Men's College Baseball Championship. It's going to be an amazing tournament. So essentially for the women, I had Oklahoma. For the men, I had Tennessee. Definitely fun for sure. Definitely those 2 teams give me a great chance of getting the champion right. So it's definitely going to be a fun tournament. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed all the college sports content throughout the year. This is most likely, probably is, in all likelihood, my last college sports video of the 2023-2024 academic year. we already did a recapping the best schools of the year with everything. So please check that one out if you can. But that's all I wrote for this academic year and athletic year. We will see you again this fall in just a couple of months, August, with way more content out about college sports. Obviously, if realignment happens, we will definitely be discussing that. But in the meantime here, obviously I'm just going to follow along the rest of the softball and baseball tournaments, and then pretty much just take a break from college sports, start preparing for the next year. So it'll definitely be interesting. And guess what? Guess what song I'm trying to make? If you guessed the college football song, you got it right. College football season is up next. You know how much fun we had last year covering college football, making all the predictions, all the games, everything for college football. We're going to do that again this year. I'm not certain about the pick game day, pre-game and post-game shows. It depends on what opportunities I may get with the university, or I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen with Pitt. That show, I can't say about that. However, I will pretty much probably be doing college football predictions. So I can't wait to cover college football with you guys. So it'll be fun for sure. So yeah, I'm starting to really hit harder with baseball and all that, and start to gear up for football. So keep the ride along. The most interesting part of the year for our channel is on the way. The summer is going to be a little slower, but comes fall, we'll be rocking, we'll be raring to go. Content 4 to 5 days a week. So yeah, enjoy. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for a great year with college sports. Have a good one. Take care, stay safe, and as always, peace. I will see you guys again in the fall.